Hey everybody, here we are for lesson 3. What we're going to be discussing is personal and group security. Anytime we start discussing a topic like this, we're really focusing attention on self-defense. And the best way to win a fight is to not be in a fight in the first place. The two things that I like to focus attention on, and we'll definitely look at some physical skills for self-defense as well, but this is the key to avoiding fights, and that is, again, avoidance and awareness. Meaning, how do we avoid fights to begin with, and how do we increase our awareness so that we don't get surprised by somebody that's trying to bring harm to us? You may have noticed that as far as problems that could arise in a wilderness situation or an urban situation, then I'm a big fan of preventative care, whether it's first aid, self-protection, or survival. It doesn't really matter. What I want to do is try to avoid situations before they occur. Self-defense is absolutely no different. The two keys to making sure that you win a fight is to not be in a fight in the first place. I like to call it avoidance and awareness. Those are the two big things that if you have the ability to avoid fights, and we'll talk about that very specifically, and to be more aware of your surroundings, then you can avoid situations that put you in a place where you're more likely to be in a fight. So let's talk about each. Now, the big key to avoidance is you staying in control of your ego. Here's what I mean by this. I'll give you an example. Imagine that I have a bag, and in that bag I have a big pile of cow poop in it or something of that nature. And if I take that bag of cow poop and I give it to you, and you take it, who owns that bag of cow poop? You're right, it's you. So that's me taking this big pile of cow poop, offering it to you, and you take it. However, if I have that same bag of cow poop and I offer it to you and you don't accept it, who owns that cow poop then? Well, it's me. Insults are no different. If somebody's going to offer you an insult, say something about you and how you dress, you and your intelligence level, you and your family, whatever it is, the car you drive, where you work, whatever it is, and you choose to accept it, then you've owned that cow poop. What I would like to do is when people offer insults such as that, you allow them to continue to own it. It's theirs. It doesn't mean anything to you. You don't respect their opinion in that particular instance. Let them say what they're going to say, and then you just have the confidence so that you don't allow your ego to control you. You are in control of your ego. As far as awareness is concerned, if I were to break it down very simply, I would say this. You need to always have your head on a swivel and a Navy SEAL stare. Meaning no matter what environment you're walking in, whether you're walking in a situation like this where you're out in the woods, or you're in the neighborhood, you're walking into a store, a grocery store, you're walking into school, no matter where it is, your parking garage, work, whatever, you need to always have your head up and looking around, seeing what kind of dangers lay ahead of you. If somebody is going to be an aggressor by surprise, what they want to do is catch you unaware. So the best way to combat that is to never be unaware. Always have your head up, walking around, walking down the grocery store aisle. When you get into your car, you're looking into your car, or have you looked under your car, even briefly, even to give the impression that you're looking. That gives the sense of anybody that's watching you that you are aware of your surroundings, so you could always be like that. Don't have your head down on your phone like this out in any particular environment. Yeah, there's a time for that. But even if you have to get on your phone, what I would do, put my back up against something where I know, particularly a wall or something like that. Don't have to do that here, but if I'm in an urban situation, put myself up against a wall so nobody can surprise me from behind. That way I can get my messages and get to a place where I can comfortably and safely be on my phone. These things right here are big problems for taking your attention away from being aware. So make sure you control your access to your phone. You don't have to answer the phone when the phone rings. You should answer the phone when you can safely answer the phone. Now, there's 3 stages when it comes to ever getting to the point where you have to get in physical confrontation. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of avoiding confrontation whenever you can. And this is applicable whether it's in a personal situation or even something like an active aggressor or active shooter situation. It's what a lot of people refer to as run, hide, fight. What I mean by that is that the best solution when somebody is being aggressive to you is to remove yourself from the equation. Leave, do whatever you can, run, get away. I've said for years, I've taught martial arts for nearly 30 years now, and I've said for years one of the best techniques in martial arts is being able to run away. Distance yourself, get away from the fight. If you can't do that, then hide. Get in a position where if somebody's being aggressive to you, you're behind cover or concealment. Cover is something, particularly in an active shooter situation, where if somebody is shooting in your direction, the bullets can't go through whatever it is that you're behind. Yeah, tarp is something that you could, conceal yourself with, but it's not going to provide any protection for you if somebody's trying to shoot through it or somebody's even trying to punch you through it. So that's just concealment. And again, when the only option you have is to fight, and you're going to fight, then you need to fight with three things: surprise, speed, and violence of action. So what I'm going to do here for you is I can't hit anybody, right? But I do have some pads that I've utilized teaching others in self-defense. I'm going to set up here so I can show you exactly what I mean by that, because surprise, speed, and violence of action are important. If you're going to have to fight, and again, do everything that you can to avoid fights whenever possible. Use your words, run away, walk away. Don't get in the middle of an argument. Don't go to places that are dangerous. These are the ways you avoid a fight. But when a fight comes to you and you cannot get away from it, surprise, speed, and violence of action. So let's go get these pads and I'll show you what I mean. Going to be my training partner for the day to demonstrate what I call the 5 weapons that everybody carries with you at all times. And again, remember, our goal is to avoid a fight, but if a fight is going to be in a situation where we cannot get away from it and we must defend ourselves, we're going to use those 5 weapons. That's our head. We'll talk about 2 ways that we can utilize our head. Our hands. We'll talk about 2 ways to use our hands. Elbows. 2 ways to use our elbows. Knees and feet. So these are our 5 weapons. Let's take a look at our head first. Now the first way we're going to use our head is to actually just use our mouth. And what I mean by that is we're going to utilize our mouth to scream. When I say scream for help. I need help. Yell rape or something of that nature so that you can bring attention to your position, because people that are aggressive don't like attention. So if you're bringing attention to a situation or wherever you are, then that is going to somewhat help stop an aggressor. The other way that we're going to use our head, if we're in a position where we can't defend with our hands, elbows, knees, and feet, is to bite. Your mouth is very strong and it's a very useful defensive tool. And people say, that's gross, I can't bite somebody. Well, if somebody's on top of me and they're getting ready to kill me, I'm going to bite them if I have to. If that's what it takes to get somebody off of me, I'm going to bite them. Again, we're doing this in a situation where somebody is aggressing us and we must defend ourselves. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to utilize our hands for our defense. And there's 2 ways that we can do this so that we don't hurt ourselves. If we make a fist and hit like that, that's one thing, hitting a pad. But if you're hitting a hard surface, like you're hitting somebody in the head to defend yourself, then there's a good chance you're going to break your hand. So what I like to tell people to do is use this part of the hand right here to strike there. Or you can make a fist in what I call hammer fist and use this side of your hand. Now let's take a look at our elbows. We're going to look at that from 2 different directions, as I told you before. If the aggressor is in front of us and something happens, we want to keep them at a distance, right? That's where we can use our hands out here to defend ourselves. But if they get really close to us, we don't have a lot of power with our hands. That's where our elbows come in here. But a lot of times in a fight, it doesn't work out real pretty, and you might come through and miss. That's when your elbow coming back is real powerful. Or if you find somebody that's grabbed you from behind, an elbow is real powerful. Now your knees are the same way as your elbows, and that what happens if you get stuck in here and somebody's got a hold of your arms, or they get hung up, or maybe your arm is broken. You can't throw an elbow, you can't throw a hand or something of that nature. If you're in tight, then that's where your knee comes into play. Now as far as your feet is concerned, unless you have dedicated long-term instruction on how to utilize your feet to kick, you should never kick anywhere above the waist. You'll see a lot of martial artists do stuff where they kick in the head. Those are well-trained individuals. I don't recommend that at all. What I do recommend is kicking low, and kick with your shin, not your actual feet, the lower portion of your leg. And your target in this instance on the aggressor is the knee. But that brings us to a good point. What are the target areas if you're going to be aggressed that you go for? Do you just flail about? No, there's 5 specific areas I want you to go for, and I'll explain why. The way to win a physical confrontation, again, when somebody's being aggressive to you and you must defend yourself, is to do it in such a way that you attack vulnerable areas on their body. And let's talk about those. Face is the first one, and I don't care. Eyes, nose, wherever. In this part of the body, go for it. Because when you hit this, it makes people very naturally want to back up unless they have a lot of training. The next one is to strike people in the throat. I don't care how big or how strong somebody is, you start striking them in the throat, you'll get the same reaction. It's very subconscious for us to protect our throat. And so you start striking this area with your hand, people are going to want to back up. Groin, same way. Another very vulnerable part of the body. Strike the groin and people want to back up, male or female, it doesn't matter. The knees are very susceptible to injury. So even if you're on the ground and you're kicking at somebody's knee, or if you're kicking from a standing position, go for the knee. And that way, what happens is if a person's knee is injured, they can't come after you and you can get away. And last but not least, the feet are a great place to attack if you're being aggressed. Because again, if you stomp on somebody's feet and break one of the bones in their feet, it makes it difficult for them to run after you when you leave the situation. Now that we have all our tools, let's put it all together. Think about this. You have an aggressor. Let's pretend for a moment that you're the aggressor. I'm gonna talk to you. Hey, stop, stop, stop whatever you're doing. Stay away, stay back, stay back. When I'm talking to you, I get my hands up because if you start to aggress me and swing at me, I've got my hands where I can protect my head. I'm probably going to get struck, and when I get struck, I need to be able to protect my head. That's vitally important. But once that simple start of a barrage of attack happens, I need to then fight back with surprise, speed, and violence of action. This is what I mean by surprise, speed, and violence of action. Hey, stop, get away from me, back up, stop, 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 get out, stop, get away from me, stop, get away, stop, stop, get off, stop, get away, get away. Hey, I just want to make it abundantly clear. Do everything you can do to avoid a fight. There's typically never a good winner in a fight. That's why I like to use my words. That's why I like to pay attention to my surroundings so I can avoid fights and do everything I can to stay away from a confrontation. But if a confrontation is going to come to me and I cannot avoid it, then it's going to be surprise, speed, and violence of action. That's why, as far as group security is concerned, specifically as it relates to family, I'm a big fan of having a secret word. You can call it a trigger, if you will, that your family knows whenever you utilize that word, that everything's getting ready to get ugly. You're getting ready to get in a physical confrontation, and you need to defend yourselves in them. The reason I say that is because you never want to be in a situation where you're being aggressed and the people that you love and care about are right next to you and they fall victim to maybe a tool, weapon that the other person might be utilizing. So in that manner, I like to have that safe word, that trigger word, whatever you want to call it, but just develop a word for group security so that when you say it, I like to tell everybody snow cone. Use the word snow cone, because that's not a word that you utilize in everyday language. Snow cone. Your family knows to scatter, or your family knows to get behind you, whatever it is that you direct them to do. I'm a big fan of them pulling away from you if you're going to be in a physical confrontation whenever you use that safe word. So with that said, that's been some ways for group as well as a whole lot of personal security to defend yourself. Avoidance and awareness is the key. Come on, join in. Let's learn together.